Stocks were down, the Dow by 23 points. And Doug Flynn joining us, certified financial planner, co-founder at Flynn Zito Capital Management. One of the headlines, though, today I saw was that I think Bitcoin ended up going well above $60,000. What was it, 64 at some point? But we have Bitcoin hitting 60,000 as the FOMO rally gathers pace. So there's fear of missing out anytime you have a rally in an asset. But what about Bitcoin going nuts again? What should we make of it?
Yeah, 2 days ago it was 51,000, just to give you an idea of the run of the last couple of days, and it's more than doubled in the last couple of months. So, this has to do with the fact that they have made it more mainstream by issuing those ETFs now. There's 10 of those that you can invest in. So that's added a lot of opportunity for people to get invested in it without the worries of losing their password and losing the access to the actual Bitcoin. So that's been a big plus. And then there's a halving event is what they call it. And for the viewers who don't know, you should Google that and look into it. What it does, though, is it basically creates more scarcity, with the idea being that theoretically the price rise could continue in the very long term. So it's run up a lot, and so you do get worried about that after a big run when people want to get in. But that's where we are right now with the current pricing and where it looks. I mean, there's a lot of calls on the street for 70 and 80,000 on this. Right. So we'll see if that actually happens.
Could be tomorrow, the way things are going, I guess. Now,
could be.
It's interesting. I'm sure a lot of people watching are interested in Bitcoin, but I also am sure that a lot more of them are interested in the price of a car, because a lot more of them have cars and invest in Bitcoin. And the car prices were kind of interesting to watch through the pandemic and all the rest. But now, lower auto prices finally are giving Americans a break after all the years of inflationary increases. Pick up on that and where you think we're going.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, if you go back to, you remember all the times we talked about supply chain disruptions during the pandemic, and that created the chip shortage, which created a scarcity of vehicles being produced. Just some quick numbers. Before the pandemic, there was a sort of inventory of cars of about 4 million in the United States. It got as low as 1.7 million a year ago. And when you have that lower availability, it drives up prices. And that went a long way towards raising inflation. That's in the CPI number. Now, the 1.7 is now at about 2.6 million. So we're not all the way back to where we were. But prices have come down. A new car price has come down about $1,200. And used car prices, which is where everybody flocked to, they're down about $4,000 on average. And so what's going to happen is that those numbers are going to start working their way into the CPI and lowering the inflation. And at some point, when inflation gets low enough to the Fed's target, we finally get our interest rate cut. So it goes a long way.
That's how it all comes together. But you're right about the used cars. Those were crazy for a while. Last topic here is car related. Here's the headline. Apple kills electric car project, will shift many staffers to generative AI. This is the new report out, so the more artificial intelligence makes more sense than an EV project at Apple. What do you say?
It does. I mean, Apple, if you look at last year, it was kind of interesting that of the top 7 tech companies that everybody talks about, they were the worst performer, only going up 50%. And they lost their title to the most valuable company, to Microsoft, so they're number 2. But this 10-year-old project, I keep thinking about if an iPhone, compared to other cell phones, an iPhone costs $1,200 to $1,400. What was an Apple car going to cost relative to other cars at a time when people don't really want as much EVs and certainly don't want to pay a lot more for them? So perhaps, they should shift those people to AI. It's sort of felt out there that they're behind the 8 ball on AI. They haven't really participated like NVIDIA and all these other companies have really made inroads in there. They have some catching up to do. So it's probably wise. They're better off partnering, or maybe, do you remember the Eddie Bauer edition of the Ford Explorer? Do you remember that?
I actually do,
Maybe they should do like an Apple version of somebody's car or something and do a better job than making your own car.
Right, the Doug Flynn Apple car. I don't know if that would sell or not, but you never know. So thank you, Doug. We'll see you again soon.